Hello and welcome to this video on English Language Paper 1. Now this video is only relevant to you if you're doing AQA from summer 2026. Don't use this video if you're doing November 2025. And in this video we're going to talk about the first step of the exam, which is reading the text. And this is probably one of the most crucial points of the exam and the one where students make the most mistakes. What we see a lot of students doing is rushing the reading of the text, going on to the questions, and then actually we find that there's quite a lot of misunderstandings and misconceptions because they haven't read the text properly. So you might be tempted to skip this video or do it really quickly, but I would strongly suggest that you do the whole video along with me so that you can see the level of detail that we expect in your reading. Now you can download a copy of the text from my website, amysmithliterature.wordpress.com, and you can print it out so you've got a copy in front of you. At the top of the page then, it tells you that the text is from Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. We don't call him Charles, we always call him Dickens, we always use the writer's surname, and the year that this was written in is 1860. Then it gives us a summary of the text in that box at the top. Don't skip that, it's going to help you to anchor your understanding. It often tells you who is in the text, what they're doing, what's going on, so it gives you a bit of context. And here it says Pip is a young boy who lives in Kent. So Pip is the protagonist. He's in Kent in the south of England. He's gone for a walk beside the river and encounters a strange man. Okay, so let's read the text. Ours was the marsh country, down by the river, within, as the river wound 20 miles of the sea. My first most vivid and broad impression of the identity of things seems to me to have been gained on a memorable raw afternoon towards evening. The dark, flat wilderness beyond the graveyard, intersected with dykes and mounds and gates, with scattered cattle feeding on it, was the marshes, and that the low leaden line beyond was the river, and that the distant savage lair from which the wind was rushing was the sea, and that the small bundle of shivers growing afraid of it all and beginning to cry was Pip. Hold your noise, cried a terrible voice as a man started up from among the graves at the side of the church porch. Keep still, you little devil, or I'll cut your throat. Fearful man, all in coarse grey, with a great iron on his leg. A man with no hat, with broken shoes, and with an old rag tied round his head. A man who had been soaked in water and smothered in mud and lamed by stones and cut by flints and stung by nettles and torn by briars, who limped and shivered and glared and growled, and whose teeth chattered in his head as he seized me by the chin. "Oh, don't cut my throat, sir," I pleaded in terror. "Pray don't do it, sir." "Tell us your name," said the man. "Quick." "Pip, sir." "Once more," said the man, staring at me. "Give it mouth." "Pip, Pip, sir." "Show us where you live," said the man. "Point out the place." He pointed to where our village lay, on the flat inshore among the alder trees and pollards, a mile or more from the church. The man, after looking at me for a moment, turned me upside down and emptied my pockets. There was nothing in them but a piece of bread. When the church came to itself, he was so sudden and strong that he made it go ahead over heels before me, and I saw the steeple under my feet. When the church came to itself, I say, I was seated on a high tombstone, trembling while he ate the bread ravenously. At the same time he hugged his shuddering body in both his arms, clasping himself as if to hold himself together, and limped towards the low church wall. As I saw him go, picking his way among the nettles and among the brambles that bound the green mounds, he looked in my young eyes as if he were eluding the hands of the dead people, stretching up cautiously out of their graves to get a twist upon his ankle and pull him in. Okay, now I want you to pause the video and think through the 5 W's. Who is in the text? What are they doing? Where are they? When is this? And why is this happening? So pause the video, jot down your answers to the 5 W's, and then start the video again when you're ready. Right, who is in the text? Well, we have Pip, who's a young boy. We have this strange man as well, who seems quite scary. Where are they? Well, they're in Kent, but specifically, they seem to be in a graveyard near some marshy land. And what is going on? Well, Pip was going for a walk. Then this man turns up, wants to know where Pip lives, and then turns Pip upside down holds him by the ankles, and empties his pockets to try and steal whatever Pip has got in his pockets. When is this? Well, published in 1860, so we're in the Victorian period here, but also you could have said that it seems like nighttime. Why is all of this happening? Well, if we look at line 10, it tells us that the man had a great iron on his leg. Now, that might confuse you initially, but what it means is that he has an iron shackle or a cuff on his leg, which tells us that he's escaped from prison. So the man is robbing Pip because he's escaped from prison. He needs some food, he needs some money to try and get on his way. Okay, you're going to pause the video again. Your job then is to read the text all the way through for a second time on your own. Don't skip this step because it is so important that you have a clear understanding of what is going on in this text before you answer the questions. When you've read it through for a second time, start the video again. Now we're going to read the questions. So again, you can download these from my website. So question 1 says, read again the first paragraph of the source, answer all parts of this question, tick one box for each question. 1.1, how is the landscape described? Is it dry, wet or rocky? 1.2, what is the weather like on the afternoon Pip describes? Is it hot and sunny, unpleasant or snowing? 1.3, what are the animals doing in the fields? Are they feeding, waiting or running? And 1.4, how does Pip feel? Is he happy, excited or upset? Question 2 then says reread lines 1 to 7. So I've put a box around those lines. If you've got a printout of this, put your box around it too. And the question says, how does Dickens use language to describe the landscape? So in the margin, I've written the word landscape. Now, as I say, don't skip the sections that I'm telling you to do, because actually it will make so much sense when we come later on in the paper. So do this now, and then when we get later on, I will explain why we've done it. Question 3 then says, use the whole source. This is from the beginning of a novel. How has the writer structured the text to create a sense of fear? And question 4, focus this part of your response on lines 10 to the end. You can see again, I've put a box around those lines, so if you have a printout, copy the box. The strange man is unquestionably frightening and powerful. And again, I've written those words in the margin, just reminding you, don't skip that step because this is really important. And then, to what extent do you agree? So that's the text. Those are the 4 questions. Pause the video and I want you to write down what steps you're going to follow when you're reading the text, and then start the video again and I will tell you the answers. Okay, here we go. This is what we did. We read the text twice through. We then thought about the 5 W's. We read question 1. We read question 2 and we boxed and labelled the text. We then read question 3. And then we read question 4 and again we boxed and labelled the text. Okay, thanks for watching. In the next video, we will do question 1 together.